Welcome to Mpowered Living. I'm Ann Sheu. On this podcast, innovative leaders and visionary experts share insights and practical tools for work, family, and marriage. Each episode, we'll explore how to elevate your life while staying grounded in what truly matters to you. You're working hard to navigate relationships, build a thriving family, and create a legacy of purpose. We're here to help you do that with confidence and intentionality. So if you're ready to live a life by design, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Mpowered Living, the podcast where we explore the habits and conversations that help us build more intentional, resilient lives. I'm your host, Ann Sheu, and today we're diving into something that touches every part of how we lead and live: curiosity and the power of play. My guest today is Jill Young, an expert EOS implementer, a coach, and a lifelong entrepreneur who grew up immersed in her family business. From being on the payroll at 8 years old to now coaching high-level leadership teams, Jill brings play, spark, and curiosity into everything that she does. Her coaching is both deeply intuitive and wildly effective. In this episode, we talk about why curiosity, freedom, and play are essential tools for success, how to stop rescuing and start empowering others, and the mindset shift that unlocks energy and clarity. This conversation is full of insight, heart, and joy, and will leave you rethinking how you lead, how you parent, and how you play. Let's dive in. All right, Jill, I am so excited to have you here today. I can't wait to have this conversation with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thank you, Ann. I'm excited to be here on the Empowered Living podcast.
Yeah, so let's start with, I want to talk a little bit about how you grew up in an entrepreneurial family and how that shaped who you are today. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about your story?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. I love to talk about this topic. I'm a big fan of the entrepreneurial family unit can change lives. From the entrepreneurial side, we're creating jobs, expanding the economy, serving people, bringing people together, creating really great products and service out in the world. But then taking that whole microcosm of that entrepreneurial world and thinking about it in this family microcosm. And as I look at my life and how I've grown as a coach and as an entrepreneur, oftentimes I think, well, someone will say, how did you do that? I'm like, I just do it. I've always done this because that's how I was raised in an entrepreneurial family.
Yeah.
One of the fun stories that I like to tell is when I was 8 years old, I was put on the payroll and I earned 60 cents an hour.
Love
I'm
it.
sure many of us remember that first paycheck, but the first paycheck came to me for 2 weeks worth of work, and the paycheck came for $60. So if we're all doing the math in our head, over a course of 2 weeks, I worked for 100 hours. And when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, it's really hard to work full time," I'm like, what does that even mean? I was maybe 21 before I learned that overtime was even a thing.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one way that it has shaped me. And I love it. I love it. I know some people who grew up in entrepreneurial families, they have maybe more of a more of a heavier story. I and I literally grew up in the family business playing because our family business was childcare. We had other businesses too, but the one that I was really involved in was these large childcare centers, one of which my sister has now, and I'm sitting here today in her house
Love it.
doing the podcast. So I really was around toys and games and songs and playing outside, and I thought that was work because I was getting paid for it. So that's maybe how I've also pulled that thread through. I'm still a very playful coach, a playful entrepreneur. Everything I do has magic and sparkles and play involved.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you bring that play into your work as a coach. So let's talk a little bit about that because you are one of the most amazing business coaches that I have ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, thanks.
Your clients rave about you. I mean, you are transformational for your teams. And I think when I watch you in action, I think a big part of that when you're coaching your teams and then when you're coaching other coaches, you come from such a place of curiosity and really believing in the other person and their ability. And you're here to support them and ask questions and guide them, but not to rescue them.
Mm.
And so I'm so curious what it took for you to, I mean, were you just born with that, or how did you develop that skill? Because it is something that I struggle with on a daily basis, jumping in and rescuing and saving the day and, being the hero with teams, with clients, with my kids. So how did you learn that, and what can I learn from you? How can I be like that? How can I be like Jill when I grow up?
Wow. Well, first of all, Anne, thank you. Thank you for seeing me in the way that I wish to be seen. It's a very beautiful moment, and I'm even having emotion. Emotion is leaking out my eyes. It's such a beautiful moment when another human being can see another human being in the way that I want to unfold. In the way that I would, this is my inner core. You saw seeing through to the deepest core, essential, foundational parts of me. And it feels really, really good. So thank you. It energizes me. It helps me know I'm on the right path. It's confirming. It's all those things. So thank you. Thank you so much. If I go into the question about curiosity and maybe how I cultivated that, and then you said, were you born with it? I'm going to say yes, 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 and, like all of the yes ands in the world. I have just a huge fortune of being raised by parents who gave me a lot of freedom. A lot of freedom when I look back, because I've been asked a similar question before. Someone asked me one day, how do I get your level of energy? I'm like, anybody can have my level of energy. It's water, rest, exercise, meditation, more exercise, spend time in the forest, and we were kind of joking around right there. But I've been asked, and so I've looked back, and the big one is I have had a lot of freedom. And I think I feel into where that came from. And I think that it's really kind of funny. Mom and dad were busy with the business. Okay. So I know our listeners here, we're parents, we're business owners, the business and the family seems to weave in as one. And I'm just wondering, sometimes I was like, am I ignoring my children? I'm like, no, I'm not ignoring them. I'm giving them lots of freedom. And I think that was core to how I was able to sit with my curiosity without being so structured. I did not have, "Well, Jill, you've got to be here at 1 o'clock and here at 2:30 and now run home and change your clothes and go to this." Everything in my life, when I can think back to it, was freedom based, even to the point where, and this might freak some people out, and that's okay. Okay, we don't mind freaking people out. Even to the point where when I was a teenager, my friends had things like curfews. I'm like, what's that? And when I left for the evening, I'd say, hey, mom and dad, see ya. We're going to go to Cammy's and then we're going to go out to pizza. And then we think we're going to end up at Becky's. And mom would say, what do you think? When do you think you'll be home? And I'd say, probably by 11 or 12. And she'd say, okay, have fun. Remember who you are. Be safe. I was the one telling my parents when I would be home. And one time, because I snuck out of my house and got caught and was not where I said I would be, mom knew it and she sat up and waited for me. She says, I'm very disappointed in you.
Mm.
And that was it. And I tossed and turned and I'm like, my gosh, have I done? So one time there was some kind of, I didn't come home on time. That's where it starts. And if you're asking, like, where do we cultivate curiosity? I'm just wondering if we just go spend some more time in play and in space, create some space for ourselves, even as adults. It's sometimes one of the tools that I suggest to the visionaries that I coach and the coaches that I coach.
Yeah.
Like, go play today. Go play. Go
What
play.
does that mean? What does that look like? If you were to give me that prescription right now, what are some examples of things that I could go do for somebody who is probably really bad at play, right?
This is really great. So I was sitting next to a coach at another event, and I said something like play, and he said, yeah, my my coach has been saying, you've got we've got to play. Look at my face. If this is a video podcast, look at my face. Yeah, we got to play. And he's like, how do I do that? How do I do that? And this is what I did. So I just got I didn't say a word. I did this and I handed him the pen and he did this and I did this and he did this. You just step into it. Just step into it. I have had some people say, what did you like to do when you were a child? Go do that. These days, if I just walk out of my apartment and across the street into the forest, I am at play. And I stop and look at it's springtime. So I stop and look at a tree and go, oh my gosh, look at that bud on there. And then I stop over here and I look at how the water is moving. And then I skip sometimes or I start to sing and I just let it come to me. But I'm convinced that if we just give ourselves space to do it, we know how to do it.
Yeah. What
And
would you
that's
say
what
to
play
the
brings in
listener?
curiosity.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that the play invites in the curiosity.
What would you say to the listener that is hearing this and thinking, oh, that sounds amazing, but who has time for that? Like, who has time to go wander in the forest and look at
Yeah.
the bugs?
Yeah. The first thing that I do with when I'm coaching coaches, because there we talk about creating space. So we create space for our clients, we create space for our children, we create space, we create physical space, we create inner space, all of the space. And I just say, you know what? Look at for reals with your IRL in real life. I just learned that one from my teenager the other day. In real life, look at your calendar. Where is there, just right now, where is there wasted space?
Mm,
There's so much wasted space, Anne, so much wasted space that we could replace with optimal, more free, loving, more creative, more playful spaces. So I cut out TV 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I'm like, it's not doing anything for me. I think it might have been more than 20 years ago. I needed more time to study for my degrees. I needed more time to work. I needed more time. So I cut out TV. Awesome. I cut out TV, news. But these days, guess what snuck in? Instagram.
yeah.
Instagram. And I was watching it. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I would much rather be out in the forest. So take a first swipe at your calendar. Be real with yourself. Sometimes we're just resisting play because we know it's going to work. And we really just love complaining that we don't have space. That's
Right.
what we love right now.
Right.
It feels good. Sometimes it even feels like a bit prideful, like,
Yeah.
I'm so busy. I'm doing all of these things for everybody else. I don't have time to do this. And we get a little bit of that dopamine hit because we're
Yeah.
trying to be servant leaders, but really we're just rescuing people. So I would say first thing, look at your calendar. There's 15 minutes somewhere, TV, Instagram,
Yeah.
somewhere to play for sure. And sometimes it just takes a few minutes to get you into it.
Yeah. So I want to go back to something you said when you were talking about like your mom, telling your mom that you were about to go out. And she said, remember who you are.
Yeah.
Tell me what that comes from and as a teenager, what that meant to you. And was it something that you guys had defined as a family or was it just something that was implied? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, for my mom and I, we both share that we come from love and light. And I mean, like, I'm even feeling it right now in my chest. Like, we just know that we come from love and light. And would, it was a feeling. It was a feeling and a sense that I got with her. And anytime she would say, remember who you are, she was never telling me who I should be. She was reminding me of what I already knew. One of the things that I used to do as a child, I was the youngest by 10 years. So, yes, surprise, the youngest by 10 years. But this family I grew up in with the mom and dad and three older brothers and sisters, I was the star of the show. I was bonus. I was like the most delightful surprise to them because those family dynamics of sometimes if the children are too close together, they're like fighting for parents' attention and all that. It wasn't the just uh, all of this light and love just surrounded me, and I do treasure it as a gift. And I realize at my deepest core what a privilege it was to grow up in that family. But she knew that I knew that I was made of love and light. And that's what it was. Remember who you are. We don't doubt ourselves. We don't doubt that we come from love and light. And there's things out there swimming around that might go, "Hey, you're not love and light. Hey, you're not love and light." And she just remember who you are.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. Felt so good to reflect on that. I haven't talked about that for a long time.
What did she do to cultivate that awareness in you?
I'm going to go back to the first one, which is a lot of freedom, a lot of freedom, a lot of trust. There was a lot of trust,
Yeah.
so much trust. Just with the example of the no curfews,
Yeah.
so much trust. And then also trust in the form of trust that maybe is in confidence that I could handle things, that I absolutely could handle things. Confidence also in trusting me to speak my own truth. I remember a a parent teacher conference, and I was with my mom, and the teacher was talking to my mom about me, and I'm just sitting there listening to the teacher talk. And he said to my mom, "The problem with Jill is," you're gonna love this, Ann. You're gonna just love this. After we cringe, okay, and bless his heart, this teacher was doing the best he could with what he had. Bless his heart. He said, "The problem with Jill is," Mrs. Evertson, to my mom, "she asks too many questions." And my beautiful, lovely mother, who does not speak up often. She's not known for speaking up. That's not the kind of entrepreneur she is. She looked at me, and I remember looking at her, and she looked back at the teacher, and she said, "That's how Jill learns." So it was a confidence that she built in me speaking my own truth. Like, oh, that okay, my questions. And in that moment, I've reflected on that often. In that moment, I almost hesitate to say this because there's parents out there, me included, who are like, "Oh my gosh, Jill could have gone either this way or this way with one thing that her mom did." We always get do-overs, parents,
Yeah.
please. We always get do-overs. A do-over is a big tool that I use in my parenting backpack. But in that moment, I see that she could have looked at that teacher and said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that Jill is a bother. I will tell Jill to act better in class now. Jill, do not ask questions. Just do what you are told." I'm being extreme.
Yeah.
I'm being extreme. But she didn't. And in that moment, I just feel like my whole soul just expanded with like, yes, I am love and light, and my thoughts are worthwhile. And I'm just right now wondering in that moment that I really believe that that's why I look at every leadership team member, every coach of like, "Ann, you are love and light, and your questions are worthy, and they're brilliant, and they're magical, and it's what's expanding the universe and expanding hearts. Like, why wouldn't I want you to ask questions?" It is curiosity. Thank you. Thanks again for asking the question. How beautiful, what a great day it is to reflect on these things. Thank you.
So you just mentioned briefly that this is one of the tools in your parenting toolbox. I want to know about all the other tools because I can only imagine if you've translated some of the coaching that I've seen you do with coaches and with leadership team members, if you're translating some of that back into the family with your kids, you've got this like beautiful tool belt of tools to pull from in different scenarios. So I'm curious what some of your favorite ones are.
Well, I'm giggling because they're so much fun, you guys. These tools are so much fun. So I'm hoping that these will be useful to other parents out there like you and I, Ann, hopefully. So my kids are 28, 22, and 19. They are all thriving, which means they are having ups and downs on a daily basis. Okay, that not one of them
They're
is perfect.
humans.
They're
Yeah.
humans. Hello, congratulations, they're humans. Not one of them is perfect. And in fact, a phrase we use often in our family is perfect is boring.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like, oh, if you're perfect, now what? That's the most boring game on the planet. So I think part of it is that I have nurtured them to like experiment and, ooh, what did you learn from that? So here's a couple of the fun tools. One of them is called the teenager card. So whenever the teenagers turned teenager, so I've done this with all three of the kids. Whenever they turned into a teenager, I'd say, "Hey, guess what? I have a gift for you. It's really rare, really valuable. It's called the teenager card. Now, someone asked me the other day, do you still have it? Do the kids still hold their card? I'm like, oh, you know what? We never had a physical card. It was just a concept. But I think now I want to create one just because it's fun. It's a teenager card. And I'm going to tell you some secrets, about this card. Being a teenager is really weird. You teenagers feel things. If I feel something right now, like if I feel happy, I feel it at a level 2. Teenagers feel it at a level 200. If I get my feelings hurt because Ann looks at me funny, or Ann's like, oh, is that the best color of green on you, Jill? I'm like, oh, I get my feelings hurt at a level 2. You get your feelings hurt at a level 2000. So I just explain I explain the hormones in that kind of way. And so because of that, you're going to do some crazy shit. And this teenager card that you have is when you have done some crazy shit, you just let me know, Mom, I'm using my teenager card. I'm using my teenager card. You might feel one day like you hate me, that you don't want to even spend one more minute with me, but you love me so much. Yep, teenager card. Just say, Mom, you are teenager card. You are pissing me off right now. I'm like, yep, that's teenager. Cool. Come back and talk when you're ready. But they could use this at any time. They could use this, and they did. And they did. And what it did was it made it normal. There was nothing wrong with them. There was nothing wrong with me. Our relationship wasn't stressed. No, you're just having a teenager card moment. Awesome. And it just lightened up everything. Instead of, why are you yelling at me? I'm feeling bad. They're feeling bad. And we got to go. It's just the teenager card. I don't think I can tell this story publicly, but I'm going to try with spinning it. One time, one of the teenagers called and he says, Mom, I'm using my teenager card. And he was pretty somber. And he had made what he felt was like a really big mistake. And it affected other humans. And it was something that it could have been quite shocking to me. And because I have coaching skills, right? When something comes in that's shocking, you're like, Inside, I'm like, oh no. But out on the outside, I'm like, okay, say more. Say more. Parents, we've got such great coaching skills. And I listened and worked with them. And I literally did not know what to do in this moment. I had no skills, no education, no background, nothing in this thing he was dealing with. But he knew his brother did. So how we co-created his solution was he was going to call his brother. And the love that I have for that moment where one of my sons calls and trusts me because we'd established the agreement of the teenager card. And then the love and trust that both of us had in his older brother, that his older brother could help him. And when he called his older brother stopped everything he was doing, left work, which work is very important to young adults, left work. And they got it solved. They got it solved. And to see the two of them, and we never spoke of it again. He didn't want to. It wasn't, that's the agreement. You don't have to. We don't have to go and dig everything up. It's like that was done. We sealed it. We healed it. It's good. It might come up later. Who knows? But the teenager card, lots of good bonding moments right there. I have a couple more. Do you want a few more?
Yeah, I would love. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
This is gold.
I'm
So yeah, please.
so glad you're loving the teenager card. Okay, here's the next one. So
I'm thinking in my head, like I've got younger kids. Like, what's the younger kid version of teenager card that I can give them? Because I'm like, what do I
You
call it?
totally can make it up. You can make it up.
Like,
Oh my gosh,
this is your 7-year-old card.
this is your 7-year-old card. And sometimes when you're seven, you do things like you're afraid of the dark, or you get lonely. And you know what? This is whenever you feel that way, that it's something you could look, that's awesome. I don't know. Sometimes when you're 7, you don't feel like cleaning up your toys. Well, let's talk about it. I love that, Anne. Just expand that to everything. I have young adults now. I need to make a young adult card.
Oh, I love it.
Ah, thank you for that. So this next one is really fun. So we are people who in this community, the empowered community, we're entrepreneurs, we're working, we're in the house, we're out of the house, we have other responsibilities. We have things like this, Anne. You and I are on a podcast right now. So if our child needs us right now, There are many times where, like, that's not going to happen. They don't have access to me right now. I'm not gonna, if one of them calls me, I'm not going to say, Ann, I got to go. And you and I are both EOS implementers. When we're in the middle of an 8-hour session with a client, we as coaches, we're focused on that client. A child calling us like, where's the ketchup? And, can I sleep over at Johnny's tonight? That's not going to work for our families. So, well, it was not going to work for mine. So I invented the bat signal. And the kids still use it. They still use it today. It's probably been going on for the last 15 years. And here's the bat signal. Here's the agreement. I, your mother and coach and life partner and, guide and whatever else you need me to be in life, I will drop everything for you. Everything. If you need me, if you need me. But we establish that I am not your solution for everything. I expect you to think on your own. I expect you to look in other resources if you need something. I expect you to ask a friend, call dad, do the things that you need to do. But if you need me, 100% of the time when you give me the bat signal, I will be there for you. So here's the bat signal that you need to call me twice in a row. If you call me once, I know you've left me a voicemail or you're texting me and it was just like, "Hey mom, how you doing?" but I'm not answering. But if you call me twice, I stop everything I'm doing and we get down to business. And they've probably in the last 15 years I've got the bat signal 10 times. Car accident. Yep, I'm going to stop timeout. I'm going to walk you through this. They know exactly when to use it. One time, it was the sweetest thing ever. I get the bat signal. I was in session with a young team, like 20s, 30s. And I'm like, oh, dudes, timeout. That is bat signal. And one of the boys, his girlfriend had broken up with him. And I'm like, yes, that is bat signal worthy. So they know when they need me, they get access to my life force when they need it, but it is not a rescuing. They're not relaxing on me and depending on me to solve everything. I worked with 2 entrepreneurs just yesterday, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, no, I have so many distractions." And then my mom's calling me and my grandma's calling me and my husband's calling me and they're just like swirling around. I could just see their energy being pulled, and I'm like, "Stop. We go wind that in, create some agreements with people in your life, create boundaries. And of course you're going to be there for your mom if she needs you, but not, have you seen the new purse from this, or I'm out of Cheerios. That is not bat signal worthy.
I literally stepped out of a meeting yesterday with my team because my kid was calling me and I thought it was an emergency because
Mm-hmm.
she never calls me. And
Mm-hmm.
she was literally asking me if she could have this piece of candy and how many pieces she could have. I was like,
Yeah.
this is not working.
No, because and I think you get to have your own family bat signal.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing about that too is just tying this kind of back into this self-reliance or the not rescuing our children. Is there a way that even now you can talk about when you called me, you probably didn't need to ask my permission for that. And I don't know your family rules, but just if I were to go back into my family, mama's like, you know how much candy you can have. Why am I, Darlene, that's my mom, the master of your body, Jill? And if you eat too much candy, you're going to get sick. I'm not going to feel good, so I'm not going to eat that candy. So just empowering,
I love
that was
it.
a pun on purpose,
Love it. Love it.
pun intended, empowering those children to ask their own internal heart and soul. Well, how many pieces of candy can I have? How many do I want? How many should I have? And then, that helps to cut down on the false bat signals.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
great.
I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. And Anne, I just acknowledge you for this time space you are in right here with these young children. This is how I developed bat signal because this was happening. All
I mean,
right.
she was like, she held up the candy it was a candy that we got from Japan and it has probably 8 pieces in it. And she's like, can I have this? How many can I have? I'm like, just eat the whole thing. I don't care. I got to get back to my meeting. Do whatever you want.
I remember those times too when it was like, I'm being pulled so many different directions. And then that's the answer that they get. Like, do whatever you want. Instead of what I could do is I could stop everything I'm doing and I spent 20 minutes on the phone with my son when his girlfriend broke up with him. And I'm like, you guys keep doing what you're doing. But I really got to be like deeply there with him because those are the times he knew he really needed me. So I acknowledge you, Anne, for that time period, man. I just
Okay, those are
remember being
great.
really
Bat
tired.
signal, teenager card. What else you got?
Here's another one. When I was a working young mother in elementary school, lots of activities at elementary school, lots. And it's like, oh, I should be at the Valentine's party, but I'm here. Oh, I should be on the field trip, but I'm here. And it occurred to me that my kids didn't care. So here's what I asked them. I said, hey, in the school year, there's 50 activities. What activities would you really like me to be there for? And I let them decide. And it wasn't, one of them was a field trip, but another one was something really obscure, like, I want you to come to lunch with me on this one Friday. It's like grandparents' day, and we don't have grandparents who live here, so I always feel lonely. I'm like, I would have never thought of that. So I ask them, what activities are really important for you for me to be there? And they chose way less than I thought they would. And then I wasn't guilty for not being there because they had chosen it. They had chosen it. So that one felt like a big relief of both the dread of not being there, and it enhanced the excitement for the three that we were really going to go all in for. So that was one. And then I have one more.
Okay. This is so good.
This one is, I don't know that I have a fancy title for it. I could make one up. But this one was Saturday lunches. So Saturday lunches. And you and I know the tool really well to delegate and elevate.
Yep.
And one of the things that Dan Sullivan said to me one of my first years in strategic coach, he said, and I feel like I can't quote him because he probably said it a little different, but this is how I heard it. He said, I will put my money, I will put my money behind any woman entrepreneur. You know what? I think this is how I heard it. Any woman entrepreneur over a male entrepreneur. If the women, that's you and me, Ann, if you will do two things, and it's basically these are the hard things for the female entrepreneurs to do. Number one, want what you want.
Mm,
Want what you want because you want it, not because, like, I want what I want because I want it. It's not, I want what I want so I can send my children to a great college. I want what I want so we can have a great family vacation. I want what I want so I can take care of my parents. Nope. I just want what you want. And the second one was delegate at home. And he reflected to me that he sees lots of female entrepreneurs delegate really well at work, and then they go home and they're not delegating at home, whether it's to their, like, a family team. I love how you say that, a family team. And hey, on this day, you're going to clean the toilets, and the teenager's going to go to the grocery store and buy the groceries, and like that delegating, or, bringing in some outside help. So what I did is I took that to heart and I delegated. It was my laundry. I thought it was my laundry and something else. So I delegated my laundry. And when I did that, it saves me about 4 hours. And I thought to myself, I don't want this 4 hours to just fade away. I want to replace it with something really important. And since I was building a business and an entrepreneur all week long and traveling, I thought I'm going to do Saturday lunches. So Saturday lunches started maybe 15 years ago. And with the rare exception, if I'm out of town or we're all on vacation or something, we have kept Saturday lunches, and I would just rotate, and it was a one-on-one. It was one-on-one time with my kids. So one week it would be Dylan, and then it would be Tyler. Brandon participated sparingly. Brandon was the older one. He was up doing his own thing when I added this in, but he accepts the Saturday lunch with mom as often as we can. But we still keep it going.
love
Saturday
that.
lunches.
You guys go out?
Yeah, we go out. We go out because we've tried even bringing it, like, takeout and bring it home. Too many distractions. But when we're sitting across from each other, they just talk. My gosh, they just talk. They talk, 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 and I get to encourage and lift and remind them that they are made of love and light, just like my mom did for me.
Is there an agenda or is it just
No agenda. Now, I did try. Here's a funny story. I did try an agenda. And you know this book, The Coaching Habit. You know the book, The Coaching Habit. Some of you guys might know it. It's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. But because my children know that I'm a coach, they're really good. So the first question in there is, what's on your mind?
yeah.
And they're like, are you coaching me right now? Coach me? Like, mom, really? What's on your mind? So Ann, have to get very clever and curious.
Yeah.
And I have this phrase that I like in when I coach coaches. I'll say, ask a better question.
Yeah.
When we say to each other, how are you today? It's like, oh, no, ask me a better question. So that's where I built that with my boys. Like, oh, they're good, man. I got to ask them a better question. So no agenda, but lots of curiosity and questioning.
So what's the better question version of what's on your mind?
Ooh, this is the one I've been playing with these days. What's most exciting for you right now? It's kind of going, starting with the positive, like we like to do. Starts with the positive. It's an invitation for someone to really think, like, where's their excitement in my life? Because sometimes we just get, you know, to-dos and like that. Nice question, Anne.
Okay, so you've talked
Uh,
several times about being an entrepreneur while you're raising your kids. I don't really like using the word balance because I feel like
Yeah, me neither.
it's not a thing, right? Like some days you're going to be given 80% to work and 20% to kids and vice versa. And so it's about finding what works for you, what feels good for you.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what tips you have for finding that right mix for you and
Hmm.
creating a life where, yeah, some days you're going all in on work and some days you're going all in on family, and how you found that right healthy mix that feels good for you and for your kids.
So I'm gonna go just straight into like the human that is me.
Yeah.
Because if I am in a space of groundedness and satisfaction and flow, so I also choose not to use the word balance because balance is static. Look,
Yeah.
boom, you
Yeah.
can't move. My gosh, if you move a little bit that way, done, you're not balanced. You move a little bit that way, done, it's rigid, it's perfection. Balanced is perfect. And it's just not. I mean, everything moves in life. I'm moving, you're moving, we're breathing. So it's out of reality. It's arguing with reality to say I am balanced. So I also choose not to use that word. But the thing that's coming to me that helps me the most is what I call my bookends. So it's my morning routines and it's my night routines. And my morning routine has always been mine. I've never had a lot of rising children, so I've always got to keep that as mine. My night routine when the kids were young was very much intertwined. I see the look on your face. You know that. Bookend, it's like, oh my gosh. It's like dinner,
Yeah.
walk,
Yeah.
baths, books,
Yeah.
songs,
Like a
get your
3 hour
back.
routine.
Night song, hugs, prayers. Well, it's like the whole evening was a night routine. But it was lovely. It was lovely times to do that as a family. So what I found is when I can control, which is a dangerous word for me to use, but when I have a little more that I can be in charge of my time in the morning and the evening,
Yeah.
then anything I do, whether it is a free day or a buffer day or a focus day, free day with family, free day with friends, everything feels work life satisfaction.
Mm.
Everything does, no matter what I'm choosing to do with that 90% of this and 10% of that. So my morning routine's very sacred to me. I like to move my body. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to get outside. I like to usually read something. These days I'm doing video journaling, which is really nice because I can go back and really watch all of my energy instead of just read the words on the page. So I'll usually do that. Lots of water, lots of stretching. So really getting that done. Night routine. Again, I like to move my body. I usually like to read something, meditation, some type of connection with spirit. I love to light a candle. It just feels like I bring all my energy back to me. So those two things, night routine, morning routine, just is this beautiful cycle of if I'm on those, and they always change, they change and morph. There's not one way. You got to figure it out for yourself. But that's the way that almost anything that I do during the day does feel, um, it feels right. It
Yeah.
feels right.
How long are you spending on your morning routine?
Hmm. I start my morning routine the second I wake up. So there was a time where like I had a session that would start at 9. I woke up at 4:45. So in a way, my morning routine lasted 4 hours and
Yeah.
15 minutes. So it's all preparation. If I used to think to myself, well, let me get myself ready, then I'll get the kids ready. And as they got older, as I matured, it's like, oh, let me get myself ready, but I'm also getting myself ready as I'm getting my children ready because I'm choosing how I respond to
Mm,
them when they say, I don't like Cheerios.
yeah.
It's like, oh, is there another choice that you would like to make tomorrow morning? And it's that all of that is getting me ready for my day at work as well.
Yeah. What other ways? I mean, I think it's so beautiful how you've pulled your coaching into your parenting. And I think that's something that as parents we can all learn from is really showing up and putting on this hat as of the coach for our kids and not as their rescuer, their
Yeah.
the person that is jumping in and saving the day for them. Um, Tips do you have for these parents that might be listening that have found themselves going down this path of constantly rescuing
Yeah.
out of good intention, right? Like I'm
Such good
constantly rescuing
intention.
my kids because I want to help and I don't want them to suffer and I don't want them to be, it's so hard to see your kids struggle,
Yeah.
whether it's like opening a jar or trying to figure out a puzzle or oh they're having a disagreement over who gets the last piece of candy. So definitely I am still finding myself rescuing all the time, but I think it's really beautiful how you've pulled your coaching in to help you show up as a true coach to your kids. And so
Mm,
what
thank
advice
you.
do you have for other parents that might be struggling with it and really having a hard time moving away from wearing that rescuer hat?
The first thing I want to say is I am also in the same boat as everyone else. Okay, I'm right here to tell you I am a rescuer. I am a natural born people pleaser. I rescue my kids. Okay, there it is. It's out because we all do. We
Yeah.
all do. And what works for me to do that less, just do it less,
Yeah.
is sometimes when we say, okay, don't rescue, we have this image in our minds as parents as we are taking our children, we're dropping them in a river, and we're going, go,
Good luck.
drown, drown, and I don't care because I'm not supposed to rescue you. So I leave you on your own. You're on your own. And that's not, I don't think that's what we're saying at all. So if we go to the image of, this child who is in a river, and this like happened in real life to me, and I've got lots of mileage out of this story. But I was playing near a river with Tyler, who's my middle one, and Dylan, my youngest. When Tyler was 5, Dylan was 2. Tyler's a great swimmer. Dylan, not so much. He's 2.
Yeah.
We were playing by the river, and Tyler got a little too close to the banks. Okay, and he slipped in. And it was a shallow river. I don't want anyone to think like there was major danger. There was some danger, but it wasn't, it's shallow. And I could see about 20 yards down, there was this like a dam, and it was kind of had an angle. So I knew he was going to float there, lift himself up over there because it was right there, and he'd slide down this thing. He's going to be safe. So he jumps in, he jumps. He did not jump. He fell into this river. He looks back at me. And I immediately had to calculate, do I jump in after him? Or if I jump in after him, this toddler's following me in.
Yeah.
He cannot swim. And this was this split second, you know, how the world slows down and you have to calculate everything and make a decision. And it's the scariest thing you've ever done in your life. And I pick up Dylan and I start walking down the river, down the banks with Tyler. And I'm like, Tyler, you got this. You know how to swim. You look, paddle, paddle, kick, kick. You're just fine. He's still looking at me like I'm an idiot, or he's like my mother has deserted me. I'm sure there's some therapy in there some point for Tyler and I, because I've deserted him. So he's doing this thing. I'm like, you got it. Look right down here. You're going to go up and over, and it's like a water slide. You get to slide down it. You're totally safe. I can see it, all this thing. He doesn't know this. He's just fine. His head's above water. He's doing this along. And what I did, and what I'm going to just maybe shift for people here, is I didn't jump in and rescue Tyler. I didn't pull him out of the water. In that moment, I actually couldn't have. The other child would have been in danger. But what I did is I stayed right with him. I didn't desert him. I didn't walk away and get in my car. And sometimes we think when we say don't rescue, it's like, well, fend for yourself. We do it in business too. When we say don't rescue our people, it's like, well, Jill told me not to rescue people. So there you go. Have fun with that. I hope you learn your lesson. Okay, now how many of us have done that? Okay, just because we get irritated. It's like, fine, eat all that candy and see, you're going to get sick. I mean, you can clearly tell I've done that because I've got it mastered. But I didn't. I stayed right with him. So when we think about not rescuing, can we stay right with our child? When they're having a disagreement with their sibling, can we hold the space and just sit next to them while they're arguing? And say more. Thank you for using your words. Thank you for using your words. Yes, we all feel that way sometimes. I too feel that way sometimes. Say more instead of walking out of the room and saying, well, they're going to fight over the toy and someone's going to win and he's going to learn to be strong and someone's going to learn to be. We don't need to do that. But it's the staying with them without doing it for them that has just become really powerful for me. I had one of my children he had a critical illness. Critical, is that what you call it? Chronic, thank you. Chronic illness. In and out of the hospital. And there's just nothing I could do. There was such a moment of, oh, there's nothing I could do. And yet, sitting next to him, putting my hand on his leg, helping him remember that he is made of love and light, encouraging him when he was in the good points, sitting it with him, holding him when he was in the bad points. I couldn't cure it for him, and that's it. And we can't rescue our children. We can't learn their lessons for them, but can we sit with them? And can we love them? And can we be their coach and their guide and their friend? Maybe not a dictator. That has never worked for me. I've never observed that has worked for anyone that I know, is to have a dictator as a parent, but that coaching, and not rescuing, but just staying right there with them.
What a beautiful analogy.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up today, I would love for you to just spend some time talking about you've got some incredible books out there, but the Advantage series, the Thinking Advantage, and how in that book specifically, you're talking about intentional thinking and your 4-step process. I would be curious if you could just share a little bit about the Thinking Advantage and then how that might apply in the family dynamic, specifically thinking about your family team.
Thank you. I just did a talk on this at the EOS conference, and somebody came up to me afterwards and she said, I employ teenagers. She said, in the talk, I kept saying, this is how adults learn. This is how adults learn, because I know that's what we're focused on. She says, I employ teenagers. Jill, how would you adapt this for teenagers? And I giggled and I'm like, well, actually, I think it was built for teenagers and then adapted to adults. Teenagers, families. I think it was built, when I built it, I think I was more of like humans. This works for humans at any stage. When I remember sharing this with a friend and I had said, this is how adults learn. And she said, Jill, I think that's how children learn too. And I'm like, what you're right. I did child development was my first thing. I was a preschool teacher, was my first job. So they're absolutely applicable. And here's what they are in a nutshell. This is so fun. Anne, can I sing it?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Wrote a song, and I think it's going to I think it will work. I'm going to change some of the words, but there's 4 steps. See if we get everybody listen for the 4 steps. Here it goes. I'm going to add families. When I teach my family, they will learn it. And then you guys say, learn it. Okay, Ann, say, learn it.
Learn it.
There you go. When I coach my family, they will think it.
Think it.
You got it. Yes. When I let them try, they will fly, fly, fly. See, that's the not, don't rescue part. That's the don't rescue part. When they return, I'll ask what, how, why. So the 4 steps of the thinking advantage, the first one is teach. We teach. We invest in teaching people, and you're teaching the why, and you're teaching with books and with hands-on, but we've got to teach. We can't just expect people to assume or just, do it the way your brother did it. Why can't you figure out how to be in this family? No, let's teach. Then we coach. If teaching is the science, like here's all the basics, coaching is the art. It's the exceptions. You poured yourself a bowl of Cheerios. You thought you liked Cheerios. You don't like them anymore. Why do you think that is? Oh, they're stale? Okay. What do you learn? I mean, just coaching around that. Lots of stale Cheerios in my house. So we teach, we coach. Third step is we don't rescue. And we've talked a lot about that today. Fourth step is return and reflect. Return and reflect. When we invite our family members, all of our family members, return to me. Return to someone in the family and reflect. What did you learn? How did you do it? I'm touching my abdomen, like, the guts part. How did you do it? Why did it matter to your heart? And any reflection question like, what's on your mind? Or
Yeah.
what's most exciting for you right now? But it just engages everyone's brain cells in really thinking instead of just doing what is expected. We say, wait a minute. Is this the right thing to do? Is this how I'm thinking and feeling? Is there another possibility for our family to solve this issue or expand this idea? So I think it was made for humans. And then, of course, the target market that we serve, it's like, well, let's adapt this for adults
Yeah.
and businesses.
Yep. Yep. I love it. It's beautiful. Thank
So
you so much for sharing that.
thanks for letting me sing. That was fun.
I mean, you have a beautiful voice. You should do that more.
Thank you. Listen, it was well developed as a preschool teacher. I mean, you got to be able to sing to teach preschool. We were singing half the time.
I have so enjoyed our conversation today. If people want to learn more about you, about your work, about your books, can you just share a little bit about your latest projects, what you're working on, how people can get in touch with you, all of the good things?
Thank you. Well, the getting in touch part is easy, and I love it. We talked about curiosity earlier. I love, love, love to just spend an hour, half an hour with entrepreneurs or just talking about any of this stuff. That's my 10-year target. Interesting conversations with interesting people in interesting spaces. Like today, a podcast is totally an interesting space. So reach out to me if you want to geek out on any of this stuff. Jill@jillyoung.com is the website. Email is easy. It's just jill@jillyoung.com. My latest exciting project is I run a coaching school for coaches, and it's called Coaching Magic. So we take all of the magic of the human who is the coach and we expand that. And then when your coach is nice and expanded, they can hold you with a lot of light and love so that you can expand as well. That's what we do in Coaching Magic. So that's my latest fun, exciting project. And since this is Empowered Families, Mpowered Living podcast, my boys surprised me with a cruise for my 50th birthday. So we leave on a cruise in like 3 weeks. I'm also excited about that fun family project.
That's amazing. Where are you guys going?
Wish I knew. I know, like in the back of my mind, it's not like a secret anymore,
Okay.
but I like don't know.
It's part of the play.
You know what the best part is? They're like, we're going on a 3-day cruise because mom, we got to get back to work. It's like a 3 or 4 day cruise. It's perfect.
Sweet, thriving little humans.
I know we definitely, their dad is also a hard worker and I'm a hard worker. And we definitely pass that on to the boys. They love work.
It has been such an honor chatting with you today. Thank you for spending time with us and sharing, oh my gosh, so much gold. I have so much to take back to my own family. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It
Appreciate you.
was so much fun to share. I don't, I can't keep the bat signal and the
Yeah.
teenager card to myself.
Yeah.
Other people
Great.
need it.
I
It
love
was
it.
really fun. Thank you. Thank you. It was
Thanks,
really fun to
Jill.
share. Awesome. Thanks, Ann. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Empowered Living. I hope today's conversation sparked some inspiration and gave you tools to live more intentionally in your family, work, and life. If you enjoyed our episode today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an inspiring story or actionable takeaway. And if you know someone who would love this episode, share it with them, because living an intentional life is better when we do it together. Until next time, remember, the life you want doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. Let's keep creating it one step at a time.